One fair day looking into the sky, I see Astro Boy just as he flies by. Unknown to him, there's a target on his back, the aim of an incoming.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Diablokes Era 37 podcast. Trying a different format with this one, so let us know how you guys like it. We're going to start off today talking about our launch event that we had on the night of release. If you missed that, we were featured on YouTube Live and on Twitch TV. How'd you guys feel like that went?
Really well when the servers were live.
Yeah, that was one problem we had. I think it took us about an hour to get in initially. Then we played for a few hours, had some more downtime, and got back in. And I think around we were shooting for 24 hours, and around like the 21st hour or so it went down again for an indeterminate amount of time, so we had to call it a little bit early. Other than that, we had a lot of viewers, and really appreciate you guys checking us out. Hopefully we'll be doing some more events, maybe not on YouTube Live, because they're still having a few issues with that. It's still in beta, but we'll definitely be doing some with Twitch and other things like that. We gave away a few coupons for free years of hosting from hostdevil.net. We appreciate their support, as always. So we've had a couple weeks to play through the game and see how everything's working out so far. And I think, as a whole, we're pretty happy with how it's turned out, wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah. I've enjoyed playing it. There's, every game has its bugs, especially launching. I say it's been an uphill battle for a lot of stuff, but it's still been enjoyable.
For the most part, the game has been, stable, but a lot of the other stuff, like the auction house, has been pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's driving me nuts that there's no auction house right now.
Yeah. I mean, commodities have been offline for what, like the last week or two now?
Yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, we haven't really had any information regarding that yet.
Nope, just indefinitely down. And then it seems like every time I want to play, and I think Don can attest to this, it's just like, oh, cool, well, I took a day or two off, did some stuff. I come back and I'm like, oh, I want to play today. And then I'd play for like an hour, and then the servers go down for like 8 hours. So I think for me, I feel like the servers are like much less dependable than they actually are. But
I think the longest length of time they've been down is for the Tuesday maintenance.
Which the Australians loved.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did.
The Australians are not happy about that. It goes down during their peak hours, like 6 p.m. or something. But, I mean, people are complaining a lot about the downtime and such, but I don't think there has been such a large release of a PC video game with all these live servers like this.
The best-selling PC video game of all time, and it's online only, so...
Yeah, they sold
They sold 10 million copies first week.
Yeah, so
it's like 3.3 million pre-orders or something, then another 6 million throughout the week.
Yeah, and I think WoW in its heyday had, what, 12 million people?
Yeah.
And that was in individual servers, so...
Yeah, the auction house in this game is a little bigger scale than anything WoW did.
Right, so you have to take it with a grain of salt.
There's probably, what, like 5 million people just on the North America server?
Probably, yeah.
Easily, yeah.
Which is a lot for one server to be handling.
So considering the amount of people, I think they did pretty well.
Yep.
You can't expect them to have that many people log on at once and everybody get what they want. The only thing I'm not really satisfied with was their communication.
Yeah, could have been better, but could have been worse too.
Yeah, like the few ninja nerfs they've had recently for wizards and demon hunters especially, they didn't tell anyone they were doing that before it was already live.
Yeah, it just kind of was like, alright, down, and fuck you guys. It's like, really?
But it's understandable when something's that overpowered.
I agree.
Yeah, like the wizard nerf, that had to happen.
I agree too. I have no qualms about what they did, but I just think they should have told everyone, because like if you're playing a demon hunter in hardcore and you had relied on smokescreen lasting 3 seconds, and you get in there not paying attention, and you die because it lasts 1 second, Yeah,
go over what they did to the wizard and demon hunter. You just went over what they did with demon hunter.
Yeah, well, like I said, the Demon Hunter, they took the smoke screen with the rune that made it last longer. Instead of 3 seconds, it's down to 1.5, I believe. Was that right, Mike?
Yep. Yeah, and then it's down to 1 second like base. So they cut basically your
I think it
standard
was 2
time
and 3, and now it's 1
Yeah.
and 1.5.
Yeah, they just cut everything in half. You're like, oh, damn you.
It should have made sense, because with good luck with your preparation rune that made it not go on cooldown. You can sit there invulnerable for 12, 15 seconds, something like that.
I wish they would have done it differently and to let us keep the timing and change the, invulnerable factor of it. Like, maybe you get to dodge one hit. Maybe, you're not allowed to run through, like, because I would fucking smoke screen and run straight through a arcane sentry. No big deal. And it did no damage. And, like, that was OP, because I'm like, hey, look, hot P, and I'm just going to run through it, because, fuck it, I'm God,
Yeah.
A lot of people just wanted a cooldown on it instead.
Yeah.
Like maybe a 10-second cooldown or something.
Yeah.
I just recently
Because that's what the monk is. It's like a 20-second cooldown for 3 seconds of invulnerability.
Yeah, Witch Doctor has the same style thing.
I mean, I just started playing around with the Demon Hunter after the nerf, and to me it feels fine as it is now, but I didn't play it before, so I can see why people were upset just them doing it out of the blue. And just today, a week and a half later, we just got the patch that changed the tooltips.
Yeah. The tooltip thing, fucking maddening. That's one thing that they've, like, I don't feel like they're really almost they're lazy about it, but it's like every time they change something, like the tooltip never seems to reflect it, and there's a lot of.
Well, the nerf was on the backside. The tooltip had to wait for a server
you have
side.
to apply a client side patch.
Yeah.
Which means taking all the servers down. So
The thing that's I don't know if it's still like it, but the passive for Witch Doctors to reduce cooldowns, it didn't work. I don't know if it does now, but it was annoying for a while.
Yeah, the one on Barbarians where the passive that reduces the cooldown of your long 2-minute cooldowns, I think it's supposed to reduce it by 30 seconds. That wasn't working right initially. I haven't played around with it in the past week or so, so I'm not 100% sure how
I
that's
just kind of
going.
gave up on it.
Yeah, he learned to play without. Now it's no longer a factor.
Yeah. So, as far as the Wizard Nurse, did you want to go over that, Josh?
Yeah, sure. Well, the original Wizard nerf that they hit was once you get energy armor and you get the rune force armor that reduces any incoming attack that does 35% of your maximum life. If it would do anything more than 35, it only does 35. That right there just really pushed the whole glass cannon issue, and then along with the other spell, Diamond Skin, you'd put Enduring Skin, which increases the duration to 8 seconds, while stacking the passive evocation that reduces all cooldowns by 15%. So Diamond Skin was effectively on a 12-second cooldown and lasted 8 seconds. And as long as Diamond Skin had more damage absorption than you had actual life for those 80 seconds, you were pretty much invulnerable as long as you weren't getting hit by a million things. But what it was during boss fights you could solo things, because for 8 seconds you were invulnerable to a boss because not many bosses actually hit you repeated amount of times. So for 8 seconds you were invulnerable. You had a 4-second window when you weren't, and that time you were just kind of kiting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just turn around and then use whatever damage spell you had on there. I did it myself. I soloed the Butcher in Inferno Act 1 with like 9k life.
yeah, you skipped over the whole, like, the only reason it was working so well is because you didn't have any life.
Yeah,
Because the whole build was you just didn't stack vitality at all. So every time you were getting hit, it was only hitting you for like a K. Because of
And
the
your
damage
armor would
reduction
just
from
eat it
energy
forever.
armor.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
And so now the change they made was if you would get hit by an amount larger than your maximum health pool, it won't be reduced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
if you would get one hitted, you get one hitted. So they kind of fix it so you can't just have less life and take damage from mobs. So if you get one hitted, you'll still get one hitted with it up regardless.
which
You
is
don't
the
get
right way to
hit,
fix
Josh. You get hit.
Oh,
it.
whatever.
One shot.
There you go.
Yeah, that feels like it's working pretty well. Haven't
I
really
didn't-
played around with Wizard too much, but
We did
I
all
mean-
start Wizards, hoping to take advantage of that, though.
I didn't take
Yeah, we
advantage
did.
of it until
We were
before Harvey
rushing.
taking advantage of it. I mean, well, I felt. I mean, other than soloing a boss, that was about the only advantage you had on that. But you couldn't solo Act 1 mob trying to get the Nephilim Valor buff and trying to get good gear because you get hit 10 times and that diamond can pop off and then you're on a 8-second cooldown or a 12-second cooldown and you're running around trying not to get killed because you have no life. So it
but
it needed fixing because you could solo bosses, but it took you an hour just to course run to the boss, and then
They're pretty much unkillable. But
any ability that allows you to bypass defensive stats completely, is not going to work out very well in the grand
It
scheme of
works
the
out
game.
great. It just won't work
Well.
out for very long.
What I mean is it kind of
Nobody else
goes
can
against
protect.
the philosophy of the game. Inferno
yeah.
mode is just massive damage. Is pretty much what they're throwing at you.
And they are working on staying on top of things to make sure things work as planned. Like the hotfix came down pretty quick,
yeah.
Right.
which is nice. That they know what they're doing. They know what the exploits are.
But I think they were pretty good changes. There's still a few other ones like what did they do to the monk? Don, was boon of protection.
it was the mantra of healing, boon protection. Basically, it was like give you a shield for 15% of your maximum life or something. So if you had 50k life, it was like a 7 or 8k shield. Mixed with the Fist of Thunder rune that would give you spirit on crit. That was bugged. It was giving you spirit on crit from other abilities, not just Fist of Thunder. So you could basically just get endless amounts of spirit and just spam that shield.
That seems
So now
fun.
they nerfed boon to now it's only like a 1k shield or something, and they fixed Fist of Thunder to where it only gives you the spirit from when you actually crit with Fist of Thunder.
It doesn't look like Blizzard's beta testers were very creative with their builds. Because
No,
they
it
missed
doesn't.
it for all of the neat exploits.
I say public beta, none of the, most of the skills weren't even accessible, Like,
Well, you got to think they're only doing what, like maybe a couple 500 people doing actually full beta of being able to play the entire game.
Yeah.
And then it went live with 10 million.
Well, they did say that they have professional gamer staff, that tests
They
stuff
suck.
like this. We don't know how many other things
Check
they
out
had.
the Diablokes.
They should, because we're awesome. Hire us, Blizzard. If
want
you're
us to
listening,
break your shit? We'll do it.
make it happen. But you don't know how long they had to play with the current build and what they changed and stuff, so it's hard to make judgment on things like that.
Yeah, this is true.
So other changes coming though. They're gonna buff some of the legendaries and set pieces. They're looking at them.
Right, and that will, they said that will probably come in the PvP patch, and it will only affect legendary and set items that are dropped after the change. So you don't have
nothing
to,
gets grandfathered.
right, you don't have to worry about keeping your old legendaries, hoping one day you'll log in, they'll be awesome, because that won't happen.
Because they won't be.
Right, and some of the legendaries are completely lackluster and useless.
I've seen 2 crossbows, and I'm like, eh.
That's
and the one-hand crossbows are fucking garbage. I mean, they're maybe there's 1 or 2 out there that I just haven't seen yet, but like all the ones I see people selling in trade chat and stuff, it's just kind of like, yay, 600 damage. And the stats are good. They're okay, but just like the base damage alone on it makes it just not worth having.
That's another thing they did in this. The latest patch was add whenever you join, you auto get put into general chat.
Yeah, I fucking
They
hate
have
it so much.
Blizzard responded to that, and they're in the next patch. They're gonna have an option where you can turn that off.
Thank God. See, everyone else just makes fun of me because it fucking bothers me that people are talking on my screen.
It doesn't
But-
bother me none.
I know everyone else is like, oh, just ignore it. I'm like, it doesn't
Father-
fucking work that way.
I'm the
I just
same
turn it
way.
off.
I have to pay
If
attention
I'm in
to
a
it if
group,
it's
it
there.
bothers me, but if I'm like soloing, it's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, like, I don't use the chat, like, hardly ever. Occasionally I'll whisper, like, one of my friends, but I mean, when we all play, we've got fucking Skype and everything going, so really, if I got something to say, I'll just say it. There's not really a whole any type it. It's basically, you know, a link item interface for me. But, it's still, people talking on it bothers me, I guess.
I don't even, like, everyone's talking about how they get spammed and everything through there. Like, I rarely see anybody talking in general.
Oh, Jared.
Because they put you in a channel with only like 100 people.
Yeah, which is good. It's good that there's not,
It's
you
not-
know, a 10 million people channel, because
Yeah.
it'll just never fucking end.
Speaking
when you
of
join it, it's like there's 99 people in this channel.
speaking of general chat spam, you guys seen what the what they're selling gold for right now?
Like $30 for a million.
Yeah, 30
Yeah.
to 39 per
Do you all think-
100K, or 1,000K, as they put it.
You think that's going to be basically what it goes for when the real money auction house goes live, whenever it goes live?
I think that's what people will be trying to get when it goes live, but I don't think it's going to go for nearly that much.
Yeah, I don't think it will either. Maybe initially, like Don said, they'll try that much, but I don't know about you guys. I would not pay $30 for a million gold.
Well, it depends.
I'd sell a million gold for $30.
It depends, really, because if that's what gold gets set at, then the items are going to adjust in price. So, you know, come down to that's realistic. So it's really whether or not the items are going to change price or the gold's going to change price once real
See,
money goes live.
All right.
The thing is with normal softcore that like gold doesn't really get taken out of the system other than through repairs.
Repairs,
Crafting.
crafting. Yeah.
Combining gems is very expensive.
Yes, it is. I've spent
Yeah.
400K on 2 gems recently.
Yeah.
I need to upgrade my gems.
Just trying to get like a star quality gem, you end up spending at least $500,000. Just combining the flawless squares up there. I haven't seen any perfect squares drop, which they're supposed to, I believe.
I haven't either.
Are they? Maybe they
No,
only
they don't.
drop in Act 4.
I was
I
thinking
don't
that
know.
we're in.
It should be the same.
Speaking of which, right now we're in Act 3 Inferno. We're trying to clear through legitimately. We weren't really part of the bum rush to just corpse hop the bosses and defeat them. We're, doing our best to kill rare and champion packs and get through
Yeah,
the
we
game.
want the stacks.
Right. We're trying to get through the game like it's meant to be played, and it's been pretty slow going, but I think it feels more rewarding to us at least.
Yeah.
If you were watching some of like Methods and No Life's rushing through the game, I remember watching, I think it was Kriparian on his bar, he just had nothing but movement skills just so he could run past everything.
And res people.
Right. It's like that doesn't seem fun at
They
all.
also fixed resing. It used to be like you could res and take a couple of hits and it wouldn't stop. Now it's like as soon as you take a hit, you stop resing.
Right.
So, which is cool until you try to rush somebody through Diablo. And then that sucked. But,
And then I died for it.
I say I died doing it for Don yesterday. So
But Act
And then I
3
solo Diablo without you.
Act 3 and 4 are supposed to both be the same level of monsters. I think it's level 65. So theoretically, other than the monster types, it doesn't get much harder.
It's 63. It goes 61, 62, 63.
I could be mistaken. But, so we're at the point where the best items in the game can drop. We just haven't seen a whole lot of awesome stuff yet, unfortunately.
It hates us.
Partially because like we're playing the melee classes, which are pretty awful.
Yeah.
That or you get DC'd when you have 3 stacks of the Nephilim buff and throw something at a wall later on.
That's
Yeah, I've
aggravating
seen a lot of
too.
people requesting, like, if you get DC'd, to keep your stacks, if you come right back.
Yeah, if you
Right.
resume game
Or like,
within a
just
good
a
time frame.
5-minute window would be okay. And it's especially frustrating when you actually drag a skill off your bar trying to click straight down and lose your stacks.
that has not happened to me yet.
They've
I
also-
no idea how you guys do that, but I've never once just lost a skill.
I've
I
been
know-
smoking a cigarette and
Don and I, you have one hand off the keyboard, so we try to click it instead and
Oh,
drag it.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talk. I have the Naga mouse, so I even if I'm one-handed, I'm like too many buttons, so I just use it.
My thing is, if I'm trying to like shoot upward and move back, down towards the bottom of the screen at the same time, like click back and forth really fast, I'll accidentally click the bar and drag something off. And
I, playing a Demon Hunter, have clicked off my screen more than I'd ever want to. Trying to kite things. And
Oh,
just,
I know.
Just to, like, web browser on my other window. And I'm like, no.
and there is
How do you
a
not do that on your Witch Doctor?
Diablo's a full screen game. Like,
Because Witch Doctor, I don't know.
there is
I have
a
no Witch
way to fix the action bar lock too. If you get your skill set the way you want, you can go in and turn elective mode on, and that will keep you from changing anything. But it's kind of a hassle every time you're changing
You mean
something.
left the mode off?
No, you turn it on after you get your skills the way you want.
Okay.
And that'll keep you from being able to drag stuff, because elective mode won't let you drag buttons around, but it won't mess up what you already have there if you changed it while it's off or whatever.
By the way, that's been addressed to by Blizzard. They're gonna put in a skill lock,
that'd be
or
nice.
a drag lock, or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it.
just a little fucking button, Let you do that.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
So do you all have, like, a wish list of things you would want to see? Like, small changes, not like big game change, like buffs or anything, but just...
10-second fucking smoke screen.
No, not something like that gameplay, like
Said
the
wish list.
like the locks.
Functionality issues.
I would like to
Yeah.
see like a skill set saver, so you could have two different skill builds you want to use. Inventory, like in D2, you could have two different weapons set up.
Weapon
Yeah,
swap.
the weapon
yeah.
swap. I don't see any I guess for like Steve being a barbarian, like there's a viable purpose for him to maybe have a weapons swap. For me, I have a bow and a quiver, and I'm not really going to vary from that ever. So basically, my build is, well, what's the most high output damage bow I can get? Okay, cool. What quiver is going to benefit me the most? Okay, cool. And I'm just going to use that. Like, I'm never going to switch.
They're probably meaning that more for like the two melee classes, because I'm sure Don would like to be able to switch between having two one-handers and a one-hander and a shield kind of thing.
Yeah,
I would
that's what I'm
really-
saying.
I would love that, because, for example, when I pop my cooldowns in Wrath of Berserk and Earthquake, I would love to be able to throw on a two-handed, huge damage mace or something just for a second while I pop that, and then go right back to my sword and shield, which I do that manually a lot, and that gets me killed trying to, hunt through my bags and where's my shield at? Shit. But
Yeah, macro.
yeah, so
Biggest
something
change-
that if you have big skills that go off weapon damage, that could be helpful.
Yeah.
The biggest small change I want to see is the auction house working.
The commodities
Yeah,
coming back up would be nice.
That'd be
Oh
nice.
my god, I've got so much money in gems just fucking sitting around. Like, no big deal. Whatever.
Speaking of that, it'd be nice if you could repair your items in the auction house.
So you don't have to come back.
If you could
Yeah.
see what the items are when they're not repaired,
Yes.
because you have to go back
So-
in the game and repair them just to see what the hell it is.
You can do it without going back into game. You just have to click on your champion and then go through like your champion list, hit inspect. But that's still more clicks than.
Well, if it's in your stash, then you can't.
At that point, you're
Like if you take something off your character, like, oh, I have an upgrade, so I'm gonna replace this belt. Now I'm gonna put this old belt in my stash so I can sell it later, and you forget to repair it, and you have to go back in later, take it out of your stash, go repair it, put it back, and that's kind
I'd
of
also like to,
aggravating.
even if it is broken, and you have to log in to repair it, I'm okay with that. I just want to see what that item is.
Yeah, that's part of it too.
I am most definitely.
And the search
Also,
functionality in the auction house needs some improvement as well.
I think one thing that would be super beneficial would be like when you scroll over items in the auction house, like you don't get the comparison chart that you do when you're logged into your character. So like for me, I'm constantly balancing between attack speed or crit hit damage. If I could see those comparisons in the auction house, I would be able to actually see like, oh well, yeah, I'm gonna gain some stats here. Or this is gonna be green, because I've bought shit and spent like 100k on a bow and been like, well, fuck, didn't matter because this bow's so much faster that that extra hit or whatever is fucking meaningless. Like, I think that'd be a great small change.
And not just in
I'd
the
also
auction
like
house. I'd like to see a more detailed comparison screen between items. Like, show what your speed is going to go to. Show what your crit is going to go to.
Yeah, it's
things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
that's what he's talking.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Just in
Another-
the auction house.
No, I mean like just in general. in the game
Oh,
as well.
yeah,
Like just a
like-
more detailed screen for that, other than just damage, protection, and life. That's all it
Yeah,
shows
like
you.
I hate to reference WoW, but you know, in WoW, it was like, oh, I'm gonna switch these items. Like originally, it was an add-on, and then in later patches, it just became a thing. Like it would show you, you know, you're gonna gain 10 intellect and 10 strength and 10 this, and it would give you like a small chart and be like, this is the upgrade, you know.
Right.
So you knew exactly what you were changing. You know, there was, I don't need a fucking, you know, entire screen list, but you know, give the option, just like, you know, advanced tooltip, give me advanced item comparison options, so that if I want to see, you know, stats, speed, attack, damage, overall damage, etc., like all that, like I want to see all those primary stats, like, and then they can do it smart. They can go, okay, well, on defensive items like armor sets, you know, show the defensive characteristics. On weapons, show the attack characteristics and show stats for both. Like, it wouldn't be that hard, you know. I'd code to write, but, you know, it still seems like it'd be a fairly simple thing to get done.
Another thing I'd like in the auction house would be like a compare these weapons, like a little bubble next to it, kind of like any like real merchant like Amazon, Newegg has. Just because sometimes you want to see something like the expensive one and the cheap one, and they're on different pages.
Especially
to jump back and forth, just like have two, take you to a little screen, put them next to each other, and just be
Oh,
like,
cool.
Or
and
also,
then like you're currently equipped, and then the two, so you're like, yep, this is a bargain.
and also be nice to be able to watch items as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just bookmark them. I want to go back. Maybe I'll buy this one, but I'm not sure. I'm going to look at the rest of the stuff in this page.
Did you guys see in the patch notes today that auctions are now 36 hours instead
I
of
did
48?
see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's weird.
Which is nice. So it's only
Another thing I would like to know is the auction house. I'd like to be able to get notifications in game saying an item sold.
Yeah.
Yes. I
That'd
would
be
I would
super
go
nice.
to a mailbox. It just something simple. Just a
I'd really
fucking
like-
mailbox.
I'd really like to be able to go to the auction house from in-game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want that and I don't, because like I could see that in public games, people just joining and then sitting there for like 20 minutes just dicking around the
Yeah.
auction house.
Yeah.
Maybe it's disabled in public, but like in a private game where you're sitting around for somebody that's AFK or something, it'd be nice to hop on the auction house.
I believe they've said that they're not going to do that just because it doesn't fit into the storyline of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you never
That
know.
would
They
be
might change
kinda-
their minds. Being able
I
to
don't know.
cancel auctions would be huge for me too, because I'm tired of having, 3 or 4 things up there for 2 days that just will not sell, and I can't take them
That's-
down.
That's a day and a half.
I mean, I'd be
Yeah,
okay with
there you
like
go.
losing my deposit or having to pay money to take it down or something. I don't care.
Instantly lose your 15% if you cancel.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So that's how, like, I think a lot of, like, the auction houses, and in certain games, it's set up that way. It's like, oh, well, if you want to post this, you have to pay, 15%, but you get it back if you sell it. But if you don't sell it and you cancel, you don't get it back. It's just gone, So,
Or in this game, you just have that fee if it does sell,
yeah,
which is a
I see
little
what you-
ass backwards. But
I guess it's simpler, but I mean, I understand how that functionality would be awful for the real money auction house. I think for me, the big auction house thing, the biggest fucking blunder that just drives me nuts is the fact that they set up the gold auction house modeled in the exact same way that they want the real money auction house to work, which I think is fine, but I'm gonna be honest, I could give a lot less shits about gold than I do real money. So I think there needs to be like a very defined difference in features between the two of them, and they don't. Like, it's going to be exactly the same, the way that, from what I can tell, at least right now.
See, I don't
Right.
feel like that's such a big deal, but that's why they're taking so long. They want to make sure everything's ironed out before they make it live, so they're working on it.
Yeah. I mean, like only having 10 auctions for real money makes sense. Only having, 10 auctions for, gold, especially because, fuck, it doesn't take... I can probably find 2 items that are probably worth selling. Not to say that I will, because most of the time I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to vendor this or disenchant it. Like, a run, without, like, blues or find a nice rare or whatever. And I can do probably 10 runs an hour if I'm really sitting down and doing it. So, I mean, like, I can only sell stuff so fast because I'm limited by the quantity of items I'm allowed to sell.
I like that though, because it
Yeah.
stops someone from just doing that all day and just filling the auction house with stuff that's either very overpriced or underpriced, and just really
There's
changing.
10 million people. You're not gonna notice. I
Well,
promise.
if 10 million people, say like 100,000, just put up 150 things a day, that'd be a lot more.
Like, I
Well,
agree
at
with
that point,
Fatty
you need more
because
advanced search options, and that would take care.
Servers.
yeah, but I agree with Fatty because you anything that's not a commodity, yeah, wait not if people can as they want, you're gonna.
Hang on a second, Josh. We're having some call quality problems.
Yeah,
you're gonna have people
there
like
we go.
undercutting you so fast because they can post it so fast that unless they have that thing like Steve saying, like you can take it off the auction house, your stuff's just gonna get undercut all the time. It's just gonna be people sitting there, like Fatty's saying, all day long, just undercutting everybody else because they can make auctions all day long.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not an unlimited amount, and maybe not even something as vast as 100, but 25 auctions doesn't seem like that much to ask for.
Undercutting is really not a problem in this game, just because like not every item's not the same. So.
Yes, that's fair. I mean,
unless you're talking commodities.
Well, commodities can't really be
shit,
undercut either.
I don't think it'll be as
because
commodities
like
everyone's kind of agreed.
I really like how they've done the commodity auction house where you can't really see how many of something is up and who's selling them, and you can't really just buy the whole market out or anything like that.
You might want to explain the commodity auction house, because anyone who didn't pre-order the game may have not seen it since it's been down for so long.
That is true.
We
Well, how it's working is you search for a commodity, let's say a gem. So you're looking for a flawless ruby. So you put in flawless ruby on the auction house search thing. You say you're looking for 20 of them for whatever reason. And it'll tell you how many to buy 20 of them. So,
quality.
Yeah, he sounds like a 10 robot, so everything you said is probably going to either need to be repeated or whatever.
no,
That's fine to me.
my sound's not coming through Skype, so all that would have been fine since I'm recording.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you can search for something and you put stacks of commodities up, like you have 10 of those rubies to sell, you put them up, you say you want to sell them, I'm going to sell them for this much gold a piece. And that way people can search for them and say, well, I want 10 of these, I'm going to pay 3,000 a piece, because that's what it tells me. You never actually look at a list of how many are up there, how who's selling them, what the...
You could be buying from multiple people at the same time, too, and it's just transparent to you.
Right, and it does tell you like an average, the last 10 trades, the average trade that day, things like that. It does give you a little bit more information, but like I said, there's no way to monitor how many people are selling it, how much is up there. Nobody can actually go through and buy it out without taking a huge risk. There could be 1 million flawless rubies up there, and you just don't know. Alright, well, if we can manage, the call quality's getting a little bad, it's storming here, we apologize for that, but we wanted to
Is it? Shit.
talk
It might be
about...
because I'm hosting. It seems like my whole connection's going to shit right now.
Yeah.
Might be.
Let me remake the call real quick. Take 5 seconds.
That'll
no,
kind
it's
of
got
work.
off.
It'll... yeah, that's it. All of a sudden, Fatty will be Shew the Mighty.
This is sorry for this, because this is our first time trying it like this. We did a small run earlier, but nothing too long.
Yeah.
Everything's sounding pretty good right now, so we'll keep it going for the time being. What we wanted to do is each one of us started a different class at launch, and I've played it through all the way to 60 into Inferno. Had, over 100 hours played so far, easily. We just wanted to talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of the class and where we'd like to see them go. I think first we're going to go on a positive note and start with Fatty and the Witch Doctor.
How is he the positive note?
Because I'm a beast.
I digress.
All right.
I meant
I
not
was
starting with a melee class is what I was getting at.
At first, I had a little trouble figuring out the Witch Doctor's position. He was cool, but most of his things were support style moves, like his Big Voodoo, which increases movement and attack speed by 20%. And then I got a rune for 30% more damage too. It's a beast. A big crucial point. You drop that, tides change. Then the Zombie Bears build came out. I gave that a whirl. It was dirty, But after Act 1, it kind of fell off. I need a lot better items. To play everything, you have to be all damage, because you're not going to be taking hits. With that passive that pulls you in Spirit World, you've got a little more survivability than most, just because you take a hit, you're dead, you're still in it. You know, regroup, get a health globe, pop a pot, do whatever, you're still doing damage. Right now I'm doing the Poison Dart with huge attack speed, putting out a lot of damage. He's nice. I'm getting balanced. I had to put a lot of time and money into him to get him to where I wanted him, but Witch Doctor is a very supportive class for a team group. You want one. They do heavy damage and they make everyone else bigger. They're pretty fun. I haven't really tried doing much solo with them just because we've got so many people to play with, but he has a good place in any team comp.
Yeah, I'll switch over to a little bit of footage of Barbarian Witch Doctor play while we're discussing that. And as Fatty was saying, you can see the Zombie Bears build with the Big Bad Voodoo cooldown. It's really good when you're going around with in a group, or because that boosts everyone's attack speed and damage.
It makes me silly.
Yeah, Demon Hunters get gross. Like,
Yeah.
grosser than they already are.
Yeah.
So do you feel like there's a lot of obsolete skills?
In Inferno, any of your pet skills, which is kind of sad because that's, you know, why most people want to play the Witch Doctor, because they had pets. The Gargantuan, if you don't have him on the super, 15-second, where he's up for 15 seconds and he falls down, try to keep him constantly out. He gets 2-shot. If you do the 15-second ones, he's still going to get 2-shot. The fetishes are pretty nice because they get 1-shot, but there's so many of them that it takes the attention of the mobs for a little while. So I run them still. I don't think anyone's using zombie dogs because they're just so soft. But yeah, the pets just aren't really any count. They're just, you know,
They can be useful on some fights.
Some fights, yes, but just walking around clearing content, you're not going to be using them. Plus,
I think you underrate them a little bit.
I might, but I don't like followers. I don't like followers for any class really, especially when you're in progression, because you have to take everything slow and steady, real plan everything. You come around a corner, there's molten, fire chain, reflects damage, and you're like, all right, guys, we're gonna have to, you know, go around this way, and then, oh god, there goes, oh go, no, come back, oh, Gargantuan pulled him off, you're dead. Or Treasure Goblin, oh, I've lost so many Treasure Goblins too.
No, I know.
Yeah. I said, luckily I'm fast as shit, so I mean, my bat, I keep him up because it regenerates my hatred, but, you know, I've had him walk up and fight a Treasure Goblin or two, and I'm like, you fucking imbecile, you know.
Yeah, so
Pirate Battle did that shit all the time.
they get me into a lot more trouble than they're worth most of the time. Like when you're doing gold runs or just, you know, you're comfortable in an area, yeah, just be like, oh yeah, he pulled this, let's kill it. But progression, pets are just a little too dumb. I wish they had like a passive mode or something, like only attack what attacks me, or, you know.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Like just like down, like right click on them, a little thing, never attack treasure goblins. I'd be happy with that.
So if you could change one thing about the Witch Doctor, what would it be?
I really don't have any too big of gripes with it right now. It's pretty well balanced. I mean, we're in endgame, we're at Act 3. The fact that I'm having to sacrifice so much health and like survivability for damage is just that I'm not well geared. I'm geared enough to do it with sacrificing everything else.
So that's a global thing too, though.
Yeah. And like you couldn't make his pets any bigger really, because then they would just be monsters, and then you'd have another. I don't know. Like I like him. He's well balanced, but I'm trying to get a Demon Hunter up just because they're filthy.
Well, we'll get to that. I guess I'll cover the Barbarian real quick while we still got some footage rolling of it. I feel so far that the Barbarian is the most gear-dependent class, simply because you don't have any immunity skills. The best you have is 65% damage reduction for a few seconds. And it seems like most of the other classes have at least one skill that makes them immune or saves them from death or something like that. So it's getting really hard to survive as a melee. And once we got into Act 2, the name of the game changed to stack all kinds of resistances to everything. And I feel like I'm trapped in a corner and I have to use certain skills, like the Warcry rune that increases all your resistances by 50%. I feel like I can't run without that, and I feel like I can't run without Revenge. So that's my biggest gripe at the moment. And I've tried a lot of different things. Maybe there's definitely things I'm missing. I'm not saying that's the end all of the class, but I feel like having a few more sustainability skills might be, beneficial. Having some sort of short damage immunity cooldown might help. But I mean, other than that, I'm enjoying it a lot. I just love being a barbarian and smashing things, and I wish right now I'm working on trying to find a really nice high damage two-hander to go a little bit more glass cannon-y, because I'm using sword and shield to stay alive, and it works pretty well in group play to tie up the monsters while everybody else kills them, but I feel like I don't have any damage whatsoever and can't really solo.
Fatty. Good, sorry.
But like I said, it's a lot of fun still, and I want to keep going with them. I want to push them all the way through. And I've been playing around with the Demon Hunter a little bit, and it feels like going into Act 1 Inferno was a lot harder on the Barbarian than it was on the Demon Hunter. But it could just be that I've, gotten more used to the game. It's really just something we'll have to see with time.
Yeah, I think one thing is, you guys saw what I went through with, the Demon Hunter playing. I soloed everything up until, like hell, and then finally I was like, I'm over it. I just want to be in Inferno, and like the last two bosses, we just kind of grouped through it. But like, you guys have the advantage of kind of knowing what works and what doesn't work, like way in advance. And basically, I didn't have any fucking capital or money, and there are items that are out that you guys have access to were nothing like when I went into Inferno, a 700 DPS bow was just fucking gross, like now I'm rocking, over 900, and it's like, I know, I think, Josh, do you have a Demon Hunter as well?
No.
Okay, you're the only one, but like, yep. I love the Demon Hunter, and I appreciate that all of you guys are just fucking, all about him, and I have fun with my Demon Hunter, but I think that nowadays they become way more overpowered than they were, like, as far as when they started progressing. I'm just curious if they'll ever get cut back. As Fatty says, our damage is not real damage. It's fake numbers.
Yeah,
they are.
Crit stacking.
Yeah, crit stacks, it's hard to really tell where we stand damage-wise. I'm like, okay, I do 66,000 damage on my damage meter full stack, and I just kind of look at it and go, I'm going to pretend I do, like, 3/4 of that. Like, I don't think I actually do 60,000 damage a second, or whatever. So
You do on your first hit.
I do, yeah. That first hit, oh man, it's just fucking silly. Throw that impale, or everyone's balls deep in nether tentacles. I use it. I'm not in love with it. I don't think it's as OP as everyone else does, but whatever. But I do lots of damage. So, but anyway, I just wanted to comment on the Demon Hunters now versus kind of early progression, I guess.
Well, we're on the subject. Why don't you go ahead and cover the Demon Hunter?
Yeah, I'm the, solo kid in the group. So, like, I have to build a little differently. I don't ever really get the benefit of really going full glass cannon. I can. We've got another friend who frequently plays with us who's got a Demon Hunter build where he's rocking like 12k life and 70,000 or 72,000 damage when he's at full stacks. And that's great for, what he does, but for me, I'm rocking, 65,000, and I've got 34,000 health, which makes me a little more viable. I can stay alive. I could stay alive a lot better when I had 2-second fucking smoke screen, but you know, that's. I think ultimately for me, like that really affected me. I think more than everybody else, like as far as in our group, just because that Josh had his thing affected him. Like like for me, as a demon hunter, like that was a huge difference. Like between having 3 seconds and now I don't even run lingering fog, which I know a lot of demon hunters think I'm fucking retarded for not, but I don't see the real benefit in having that extra half a second, and most of the time I don't feel like the servers are keeping up with me well enough that it even registers that I have that extra half a second. I mean, I've smoke screened before, like seen the hit go down and then watch smoke screen come off and I still die because it's like, oh, well, yeah, fuck you. So, I mean, for me, my strategies changed a little bit. I've got nether tentacles. I, run hungering arrow just like everyone else. I use scatter, not the bone shatter one or whatever it is. But speed and is more about speed for survivability, not necessarily attack speed, but attack speed's nice. But literally being able to get the fuck away from shit. So I run tactical advantage, and I get a 60% movement speed when I pop smoke screen, and then I run smoke screen with the movement speed rune, and so when I pop it, I have 1 second of plus 105% attack speed, which is fucking silly because I just go poof and I run away, and that keeps me alive. And I'm to where now I could pop 3 smoke screens per pool of discipline, just because I picked up some extra discipline items, which is still nice. But since the change, used to you could back-to-back smoke screen, you can't do that anymore because you get 1 second smoke screen, and then like the actual cooldown timer for it to spindle down, I think is 1.5 seconds. So unless you're running the rune, you can't back-to-back them.
Seems like there's still a little bit of time in between even using the rune.
Yeah,
very minuscule amount, but it's still there.
Yeah, it might be 2 seconds. Spend like the kind of cooldown on it may technically be 2 seconds. I don't really know. That's one change I'd love to see is actual numbers, especially on my wizard, which is my secondary that I rolled. Magic weapon having no like tooltip at all to let me know how long it lasts, and having just numbers on Archon or anything.
Number cooldowns instead of just the clock animation.
Yeah, so that'd be super awesome. We've seen it in the past in other games, and it is a game changer when you know exactly when your stuff's coming down. When I raided there, like I couldn't imagine not having a numbered cooldown.
I'd be surprised if they're in a mod for it that would add that soon. I mean, I know that they're frowned upon, but
yeah,
they're also pretty fair about which ones they ban people for most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. And for me, I don't want to risk it right now. I'll wait and see if the community as a whole, addresses the issue. Because one thing that Blizzard was always good at in the past was if an add-on or a modification to the game, as far as GUI wise, like GUI being the graphics interface, was substantial enough and like enough people used it or enough people thought it was a great idea, they just integrated it into the game. Like that's everything in WoW that you see now. Like if you look at the old interface versus now, all that shit is other people's ideas that Blizzard goes, you're fucking smart, we're gonna use that. That's all there was to it. So for me, shit changed. I don't feel like I could survive as well as I used to. I do absolutely ridiculous amounts of damage. I could solo about anything as long as it doesn't jump at me or throw fireballs.
So nothing?
Well, I mean, like, most mobs are fine.
Fireballs.
Do what?
I was going to say Asmodan, but no, fireballs.
No, Asmodan's fine. But, like...
Birds.
Yeah, the stupid Batbird guys in Act 3... mostly it's just that I'm bad. Like I don't pay attention, and I'll be like do, or I'll be running with Josh, and as we all know, Josh loves to lead extra shit into the screen.
Yeah.
Only whenever it's 2 people, he doesn't do that. Instead, he just kites everything in front of you. So as they spit all of those fireballs, he just runs right in front of you and then teleports, and they all hit you instead.
I think that's good gameplay, if you ask me.
I stay alive.
Fuck you, troll.
He's using soak.
Yeah,
Stuff
apparently.
dies.
But yeah, I mean, so I'm squishy. Everyone's squishy. I think that for me, I could go more viable or more like vitality and be maybe a different kind of viable. But I feel like I just, even with 60k life, because I had a 42,000 life build for a while there, still got one shot. Didn't matter.
No, even with all my defense and stuff in the barbarian, I still get 2 and 3 shot.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice so much to get that extra defense just to last for another hit.
Yeah, it's kind of my thought, is I could go down and do 20k damage at full stacks and maybe take an extra hit, or I can focus on just
Killing it
running the
before
fuck
it gets to
away.
you.
Yeah, and killing it before it gets to me. That's exactly right. So that's kind of what I went with, and I kind of hate that's kind of the gameplay style that everyone has to adapt. I feel like that's wrong, especially in a Barb's case. I feel like you should be able to walk into a white pack and just get beat on, for a minute, 60 seconds, and not really be a huge deal. Or even 15 seconds, because God knows that's not going to fucking happen, But I feel like everyone has to be. It's part of why the monk and the barbarian are damn near useless after a certain difficulty, is because it doesn't really matter what you guys do, you're still going to take so much substantial damage that there's not going to be, that you're just not viable anymore past like Act 2. Unless you've got somebody behind you chunking out huge amounts of damage, like myself. So I kind of see a nuke, or not a nuke, a nerf coming in the future, which I don't want to see.
Well, have they put out the patch that made Inferno less spikiness? Or?
No, it's something that they've talked about. If you haven't heard, the developers have said that they're not really 100% happy with is the amount of spikiness of the damage, for lack of a better term, in Inferno, which I agree with. At times, there's just nothing you can do. You just instantly die.
Yeah. Well, like those fireballs, if I get hit by a fireball, if it doesn't crit, it's 92,000 damage, and I have 40% damage reduction. And if it crits for like, over 200,000 damage, and I'm like, there's no fucking way. Whereas if one of those bats like hits me, or if one of the big guys swings and hits me, they'll probably do 15,000. But that's such a substantial jump, that it's just ridiculous that one thing will hit me for 15, even a big, but then these guys, just because they're popping me for 200k damage, I'm just like, I get fed up with particularly those kinds of enemies. But that's the class I rolled. I'm squishy. I do a lot of damage.
I feel if they just lowered the spikiness of the damage a little bit and made it so I didn't have to run nothing but defensive passives and things like that, I feel like I could do more. I don't know how much they're going to change it. I kind of just want to get done, get through and beat the game legitimately before they do any nerfs to it, just to say that.
Yeah, just to say you did. I agree.
Alright, so moving on. Josh, what do you think about the wizard?
The lizard? He's good.
The lizard.
I like him.
Quick, say it, Steve.
You're a lizard, Harry.
Yeah.
Brings a smile to my face every time.
I like the lizard. I like the wizard so far. I mean, that nerf, as we can.
I wouldn't even say it was a nerf.
Didn't really
I'd say it's a fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fix didn't really affect me because I found out about it, and then I tried it for like a day, and then I was like, "This is cool. I can like solo a boss by myself and kill it before it enrages, barely." But it was like, that's about it though. I mean, it took me like an hour and a half to get to the Skeleton King trying to do that. But so far, I like it. As far as the builds go, there's a couple viable different ones. I've found just in Inferno so far, where I'm in, where we're in Act 3, I'm just having to rely on a heavy kite build with Hydra, using Venom Hydra, because the acid will stack on the ground as well. So I mean, you can just throw that out in the area and run them around your Hydra for 15 seconds and do damage to them that way. And then, use Blizzard to slow targets. And I use the one with the chance to freeze because that 20% happens a lot more often than you would think. So, but I don't know, I mean, in our Belial kill, I was using Ray of Frost because if you rune that to where it reduces the generation or the channel cost down to 12, and you use anything, you like Astral Presence where you regenerate 2 arcane power per second, and you get an extra arcane power. You get 20 extra already. You could sit there and just hold down doing 215% weapon damage for about 15 seconds or so, and that's, if you think about it, it's doing as much damage as Meteor is doing per second kind of thing, taking away where Meteor, you click it, 3 or 4 seconds later, a Meteor smacks it for 20,000 damage, where I can just hold a beam and just do that every tick. But I'm finding I can solo things, but it's just a lot harder.
How do you feel that class stacks up against the other classes, though?
I don't know. Like, with Fatty playing the Witch Doctor, I've seen. To me and him I feel are about on par because he's got slows just as much as I do. He's got good poke damage from range, and he has a good escape with that passive that if he gets hit too hard, he can just run away forever. Yeah. And then with my kind of Demon Hunter or something like that, I've played with him a few times, and their damage is just ridiculousness, and they have stun locks that are kind of funny.
Oh, Stunlock's so good. I mean, it's not like the most viable build, but if you run fucking Bola stun, your Rain of Vengeance stun, and then run lightning balls, or not lightning balls, lightning bolts, elemental arrow, just stun for days. It's hilarious. Just awful.
For those of the people who are, watching me make crazy faces, I'm playing right now.
That's
I
just
was
your
trying to
normal
play
state.
Super Mario, but it was weird. I don't know, I just couldn't do it. So.
And compared to the melee classes, it's literally night and day probably, just because I cannot get hit by things. If I take teleport off my bars, I feel like I'm just going to get... I hope I'm in Inferno, or I hope I'm in Hell or Nightmares, because otherwise I won't get walled in or jailed in, and I'm just going to die a horrible death. So, I mean... the fact that I have range and mobility is about the only thing keeping me alive, because I'll have 28,000 health, but it's still not enough even with energy armor, with force armor, with the hotfix and everything. I get hit 4 times, I'm still going down just like everybody else. I mean, they stack resistance and have lots of health.
Yeah, you're getting hit 4 times, you're a boss.
I was like, shit, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
the shitty thing, I think, is Don and I, he's playing Monk, I'm playing Barb, we're stacking all kinds of armor resistance and sacrificing so much damage, and yet we're still getting hit as many times as a wizard with the right skills up.
Hey, here's what I say. I think you guys need to run a wizard up and go super heavy vitality, super high resistance, and then get spectral blades with the 8%.
Melee wizard is not gonna work.
It's not. It really isn't. It's just not.
It might still be more viable than a fucking barber and monk.
The only thing, the only reason why it won't be is because barbs and monks have the inherent 30% damage reduction.
Yeah. I think they should move that up to 95% damage reduction.
Yeah,
that seems about right.
95,000,000%.
I don't know, throw barber's working pretty alright for you, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I need to get a much bigger weapon for that. Like, maybe 1,400, 1,500 damage, and that would make it viable. Because it turns me into a glass cannon, kind of.
What are you rocking right now? What, 900?
I think I got a 922 hander. And it's okay solo, but it's not enough damage in group play, and I don't bring enough utility to the table.
Yeah.
And the problem is without it, if you're interested in the build, I've got a guide video up. It's on the website. You can see how it plays out, but it's relying on crit to get your damage back, or get your fury back whenever you crit with different skills and such. And if your crit isn't high enough, which mine is at like 35, 37%, something like that in that build, and it's still, there's times where I'm stagnating, in a fury to do anything, and all my skills are on cooldown, which is the main issue with it. So if I just run out of everything, well, fuck, I'm dead. But it is fun. It is viable. We'll just have to play around with it some more. I think, like I said, a better weapon will help out a lot. So what do you think about the monk, Don? Saving some more QQ for last.
Sucks.
Simple
No,
words.
he's like he's very good up until Act 3, and then it just really drops off. It's really, like Steve was saying with the barb, it's really gear dependent. Even though you do have a lot of more skills that enhance your survivability, it's still, you still need the resistance and you still need the health. Because like you can't really tank much in Act 3. Like the first part of Act 3, there's so much shit on your screen attacking you that you just can't get hit by it. And it's really hard to not get hit by shit as with melee.
Especially in Act 3 with like the guys who shove their hands underground, comes up as poison damage.
Oh,
they're dirty.
Nasty.
And then Act
birds.
2 you had the birds. Act 2 you had the guys that charged in.
And the sand wasps.
Yep.
Yeah, there's just a lot of shit. Like Act 2 is the worst part about Act 2 is the first part. Once
Yeah,
you get
that
past
first
that,
hallway.
it gets a little bit easier.
I will say though that Dawn and I playing together, just the two of us, do all right in Act 3 because we both
Just because
have.
we feed off each other with our resistance passives,
but
armor passives.
But if you start adding more people in there, then we start taking too much damage again, not doing enough damage. So I feel that there is a definite gear threshold we're approaching to play with more group-oriented play, but we're not there yet.
I feel like if you took my current gear now, which is completely able to clear Act 2, and doubled it, then I'd be useful again.
Yeah, I'm trying to approach the 1,000 all resistance threshold, because that feels okay, but my damage is still really low.
Somewhere I was reading there might be a cap on it, but
When people are doing like 30k damage and stuff, and you're doing 13, it's not fun.
Right.
Yeah,
It takes you forever to kill anything, and then, you know, the longer they're up, the more chances they have to hit you, and it's not fun.
Oh man.
maybe. I mean, I think a big thing, because I mean, fuck, 1,000 resistance, like that just is fucking absurd. Like honestly,
It really is, because like, you know, you can't just buy gear and get resistance. You have to buy gear that has resistance.
yeah.
Which is, you know, people found out that shit's worth money, so it costs a lot more to get a monk and a barbarian up to gear level than it does most of the other classes.
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice to see, like, you know, a point of resistance have more value as far as a percentage goes, as far like the percentage of damage reduction, because it's like 10 points of resistance per like 1% reduction, isn't it?
Well, at
Or
your level.
roughly.
But the problem we're running into now is that the monsters in Act 3 and 4 are much higher level than we are, so you're not even getting an accurate representation of how much that's reducing the damage you take.
Right?
They can say,
yeah.
oh, it reduces all fire damage by 70%. Well, that's against level 60 creature.
I feel like once you hit that like 800 or 1,000 resistance mark, like, by God, you should be rewarded. You should have 80% damage reduction across the board. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I'm sitting between with my shout, which gives me 50% additional of what I already have. I'm sitting at most of them are around 700-800.
Damn.
It's not
I
enough.
feel like you should be a boss, man. I feel like you should have. I mean, given that you have, and I shit you not, 600 more resistance in every category than I do, if that's the case, I feel like you should probably be rewarded with more than just one extra hit or 2 extra hits like that. That's. I haven't played a barb. I haven't played a monk. I have a monk. I played him through normal, but you know, like that's ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. A small part of me thought maybe you guys were just building wrong.
I mean, I have some passives that increase my
Says the
armor.
king of wrong builds.
Hey, I
Says the
love
melee
this.
wizard.
Oh, it's so you know, I never like seriously think any of those things are gonna do anything, but by God, I have so much fucking fun for like the point of time where they work. And yes, melee wizard is fucking a terrible concept.
But you're just talking about how it might be
I was being facetious, but yes. I was saying it might be more viable than your monk.
That's mean, and I hate you.
Oh man, it's raining.
Yeah, we're approaching a little bit over the hour mark, guys. So do you guys have anything else you'd like to discuss before we close it up?
Day 1, I made the right choice.
Yeah.
Day 2, we made the wrong choice with Melee Wizard.
You have chosen poorly. All right,
Melee
everybody.
Wizard is boss. You could suck it.
I'd like to thank everybody for watching it. This has been episode 2 of the Diablokes Error 37 podcast. We're going to, if this format works out pretty well, it's pretty well received, we'll probably start doing this either weekly or bi-weekly, as long as there's enough to discuss, which in these first few months I'm sure there will be.
Okay.
But again, guys, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode. And follow us on Twitter if you haven't already, and check out our website at thediablokes.com. See you all next time.
Oh, hey, one more thing. We should probably tell people that we named the podcast Error 37 and not just mention the brand. So, the name of the podcast is the Error 37 podcast, thanks to the
Off boss in Diablo.
Yes,
Yeah.
the first extremely hard boss in Diablo.
Harsh. Awesome.
Total domination at the hands of his incarnations. This is the ultimate showdown of anime destiny. Who will win is uncertain. A sheer perplexity, but only one will remain to claim their victory. This is the ultimate showdown of anime destiny. Some go down to Kagra's win, while Akishin's madness starts to set in. Some lose their minds and start acting odd. Merrick blocks the effects with a Millennium Rod. Then he plays a god card, causing mass chaos, but is quickly silenced by the one Macross. Then everyone gasps at the power of blue, being shadow mimicked by Shikamaru. And Alucard laughs cause he's still unharmed, but he takes a blow from Tamaki's charm. And while most people don't know what to